Ricky, my YouTube follow. Okay.
Yeah, and we're on. Welcome everybody to the latest edition of As Good as It Gets. I'm Rick Hampton, my great friend Derrick Gervin, former Nets shooting guard, coming to you on a Sunday evening. Hope everybody has had a great weekend. We definitely wanted to get together tonight. The start of free agency in the NBA. I mean, the NBA, the Celtics locked up the championship. It was maybe 2 weeks ago, and now the NBA is back in the news. We got some coaching news to get to tonight, uh, plus some draft stuff we need to go over. D. We hadn't talked since the draft. I want to get your thoughts on some of those selections. But let's start with the coaching news that took place right here in the Motor City, where the Pistons, after sending Monty Williams back home after just one season, hired J.B. Bickerstaff.
Well, I think that's a great move. I think JB was kind of done an injustice at his last job. I won't even mention the team. I just thought they gave up on him prematurely. So this is a good thing. But I got to give a shout out to Trajan Langdon because he hasn't been in the job long and he's already making moves. So it looks like we're on the right track, even including the draft. But we'll get into that later. But I'm proud to see they're not just settling for status quo, and they're trying to improve the team.
Yeah, he'll be their third coach in 3 years. Uh, and, Pistons just had a terrible season last year. They were 14-68. They lost 28 straight games at one point. And I honestly, I was definitely cheering for Marty Williams, but at times he just looked like he was just going through the motions there. It was like he said, "Why did I take this job?" And we know why he took the job. They gave him so much money he couldn't say no. But that goes to show you money ain't everything. I'm sure he's feeling okay today, taking all that money home with him. But he looked miserable on the sideline, D.
I was a little sad because I'm a Monty fan and I'm a friend of Monty's. And, it just looked like, after the move from Phoenix, the DeAndre Ayton, I call it the fiasco. After that, when he came to Detroit, I expected him to give a little more effort. And I'll be honest about it. Just because I'm friends don't mean I'm not going to be honest. It looked like it to me as well. Just sometimes he was going through the motions. He didn't make a lot of adjustments. And he kind of took Jaden Ivey's confidence during the course of the season. James Wiseman, I think those guys could have done a lot better. Marvin Bagley, and I think they kind of tuned Monty out. So them making that move, I couldn't get upset about it. It's all about what have you done for me lately, and he didn't get the job done.
Yeah, he definitely did not get the job done. I tell you, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Wiseman. I think he can be a good player, D. Maybe it's just me, but you got to get on the floor and play at some point. I understand you got to earn your minutes, and as bad as that team was, it's hard to believe he couldn't get more minutes.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, Rudy. Maybe they're going to – I'm calling you Rudy. I'm sorry. I've been on so many shows. Ricky, I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do moving forward because I expected them to take Klingon from Connecticut. Since I read that Wiseman was going to be a free agent, I thought that they would actually take Klingon. So I'm trying to see what they're doing now. They draft Ron Holland. So it's like we got an abundance of wing players. So I don't understand that. I hated losing Sadiq Bey, but now they bring in Ron Holland, who a lot of people are not familiar with. So I'm just trying to figure out if they're going to bring in a veteran big man, and those are far and few. So I'm going to have my eyes open. I'm just trying to see. There has to be some more moves.
Of course, the joke around town is 6'7" long, good defender, good athlete, but he can't shoot. And the joke is the Pistons got them scouting report. Oh, he's a good player. He's a good defender. He can't shoot, Wait, he can't shoot. Wait a minute, he can't shoot. That's who we want. We're taking him. He fits us.
They got Ryan. They bring in Ausar Thompson last year, who I think is a really good player, but he can't shoot either. So I don't know if they're using Holland for a big deal down the line, or I don't understand it. But man, we need to get some veterans. First of all, Cade Cunningham needs some veterans, attached to his name.
Well,
and that's what I'm hoping.
How about to move for Tim Hardaway?
I like that, but we're talking about another wing player, so at least that improves the shooting. Because if you see Tim play well, they kind of put him in the doghouse in Dallas. But in Game 5 or whatever it was, they needed him, and he showed up big time. So I'm hoping that carries over to Detroit. But they still need some big men. But I'm gonna stay confident because at least they're addressing some of the issues that we've had problems with in the last several years.
I tell you what, is nowhere in the world I wouldn't let Wiseman get out of town without pursuing him another year or two, signing to a couple of years. I'm sure you can get that deal done.
I like him, Ricky. I don't know. I'm already upset because Golden State mistreated the guy. And I think he just needs someone to, nurture the guy, man. Sometimes you just don't play well when you get on the court and everything magnifies because if you make one mistake, you get removed from the game. And I think that's what he's going through. I think James could be a really good player. I think he's a really good rim protector. I just think they have to believe in him. And, sometimes when you do that, man, that changes everything for a young man. And I'm hoping they don't give up on him. I still think that he could help the Pistons a lot.
Yeah. And they definitely going to have to start drafting better. Killian Hayes, their number 7 pick, who you were talking about that night. Take Halliburton. They took Killian Hayes, cut him during the season. He's out of the NBA now. Meanwhile, Halliburton's an all-star, leading the Pacers into a deep playoff run. So, man, you gotta make the right choice. You only get one swing at it, and you gotta make the right choice on that. Well, we got the coaching news out of the way. Let's get to some of this. What do you want to tackle first? Back to the draft. Some of the things you like. Why don't we do that, D? Since we kind of started on it with Holland. Just a quick look back at the draft. Zachary Reicher from France was
Risa Shea or whatever. Yeah, from
you've played over there and you've seen that European game just grow to D. The first 2 picks in the draft were from France.
I covered the whole draft, Ricky. We did the entire draft down here in San Antonio. From the pregame show all the way to the end, we covered it. And it was kind of, I don't want to make it seem funny, but, you remember J.J. Redick was talking about plumbers, how Bob Cousy played against plumbers and all that. When you look at this draft, what did that make you think of? This is the plumber era. I like to see these young guys get a chance, but it's sad because how many of those players in the draft had you heard of other than Bronny James and a handful of other guys? This is what it tells me, though, Ricky, and I wrote something about this. Our Americans have to get on our job. We're slacking. If you look at it all these years now, they're bringing in foreign players first. And I can't blame them. They're going out doing their due diligence on these guys. And the Americans, we're too worried about the through-the-leg dribbles and the fancy stuff, Ricky, the stuff that's, fancy, that's important for TikTok and social media and all this stuff. We need to start playing the game the right way and start playing team basketball, moving without the ball, things like that. That's what we're missing. And that even has me worried in the Olympics, man, because I know what kind of game it is over there. A lot of fans don't know. It's not about your individual play and how many times you can cross a guy over and all that. That means nothing in the Olympics. And it really means nothing in the NBA. I want to see the Americans get back to doing the right things and showing these young people the way. And the way is to play team basketball and to be fundamentally sound. And that's what we're missing right now in the United States.
D, to your point, the 23 MVP was the Joker, right?
Yes.
Last year, Joel Embiid, the Joker's from Serbia, Joel Embiid, Cameroon, the Joker, Serbia in 22, the Joker, 21, Giannis from Greece, 20, Giannis from Greece, 19. The last MVP we had was James Harden.
James Harden. I don't even have to look. I already know. And that's sad. And that's a prime. And that's James. Think how many years that is, man. It's sad. And it seems like we don't seem to be catching on. We need to start bringing and then it's going to get even scarier because now you got Victor Wembanyama's going to have another year under his belt.
Yeah.
So what does our future look like? Until we start doing things the right way, we're going to continue to struggle here in the United States, basketball-wise.
You know, it's interesting you said that about the Olympic team. There's some teams out there from the European countries that can play with them. And those teams that have 2 or 3 NBA players on its roster.
Well, Canada has more than 2 or 3. I'm actually thankful that they're not going to let Andrew Wiggins play because that would have had me even more nervous. But yeah, you got some teams out there that like France. You got just looking at 2 players for France. You're looking at Rudy Gobert and you're looking at Victor Wembanyama. And remember, they were trying to get Joel Embiid to play with them as well. But thankfully, he decided to play for the United States. But yeah, we're not going to just be marching to victories like the Dream Team did or the Redeem Team. It's a different time and it's a different era. And these guys are going to push us. And I hope we're ready for it. You know, Ricky, you watched. If you remember, even when Tim Duncan played,
yeah.
Tim had trouble every single game. He was in foul trouble every game. And it's an adjustment of how they play basketball. The FIBA basketball is nothing like the NBA basketball. And I'm hoping we're prepared for it mentally. It's not going to be as easy as people think.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. Well, was there any pick you like in this draft? Derrick?
Yes, but it was some fishy business. I don't want to say too much because I played in that league, but I wasn't too happy. The kid Dalton Connect from Tennessee,
yeah.
You know, he was projected as a top 6, top 7 pick, and it was kind of fishy to me how he dropped all the way down to 17. Kind of reminded me of Bronny being there at 55, and no one took him but the Lakers. This guy, to me, has the potential to be a superstar, and I think he's NBA ready right now. And all these teams, for whatever the reason, passed him up, and then he goes to the Los Angeles Lakers at number 17. For me, that's the top guy that I would talk about in the draft that I think has the highest ceiling.
Of everybody in the draft, the number 17 pick.
I thought he was, because he could have easily been a top 5, top 6 pick, and he was projected to be that. And the reason a lot of people say he didn't go higher was because of his age, because he's 23 years old. But on the other side, he's 23, but is he really though, Ricky? Because look who took him. The team with 17 championships. There's only 2 teams in double-figure championships. That's Boston with 18. And the Lakers is 17. And LeBron is not getting any younger, but you see the Lakers took a gamble on him.
Yeah, that's so, I mean, yeah, I hear you there, D. The one pick, the one guy I don't get is Reed Shepherd, who went 3 to
number 3, Houston.
And maybe because the night I saw him for a whole game is when Kentucky got beat by OU, Oakland University, here in suburban Detroit.
The shot.
Yeah, he kind of struggled that game. But what are your thoughts about him?
He's got first of all, they got to correct. He's got a hitch in his shot. And that's one of the reasons I don't think he plays so well. If you really watch his shot, they're going to have to work on his fundamentals of his shooting. But for him to go number 3, I didn't think he was worthy of going number 3. But, to me, if you look at the draft now, all these guys are projections, Ricky.
Yeah.
It's not what we're used to when you bring in the superstar that's ready to play. They bring in these 18-year-old guys in, and I love these guys getting the opportunity to change their lives and change their families' lives. But now when they draft, and they're drafting these guys at 18, and they're not, some of these guys aren't going to produce till they're 23, 24 years old. And I don't even Reed Shepherd going to the Houston Rockets. I don't think that makes them better immediately. And hopefully he'll pan out. But right now, I don't think he's ready. I didn't think he was worthy of being a number 3 pick.
D, you caught my eye, man. When you said a hitch in the shots, that's a golf term. A hitch in your swing. I don't understand what you mean by that.
Some guys, they form. Some guys don't release the ball. It's hard for me to explain to a lot of people that don't have not shot the ball. But a lot of guys miss shots for certain reasons. Their elbow is out too far. The hand is turning one way, this way, that way. And he right now is like he almost shoots in 2 motions. He's not a fluid shooter like a Steph Curry or a Dame Lillard. He has the potential, but he's going to have to get with the shooting coach. That's why they have these shooting coaches. And he's going to they had a guy, you remember the name Chip England, used to be down here with the Spurs. Chip was a guy that can correct your shot, but you have to notice the little things first. And a lot of people that watch the game, they don't notice the little chinks in the armor that a guy that they have, just like they don't in the golf course. Certain guys, they shank the ball in golf when they hit the ball. And you know what that comes from, so you got a clear understanding of that. Hopefully people start studying the game a little more so they'll get an understanding of what a hitch in your shot is in basketball. And if you look at video of Reed Shepherd, you'll see exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So when you played, you knew when the shot was going in, right?
Oh yeah, the follow through. And I had an ugly shot. I shoot on one side, George shot on the other side, but we shot the same way every time. And that's the key. What they need to be doing is looking at the guys like Ray Allen, guys like Klay Thompson, who shoot the ball the same way every time. And that's what a shooter is supposed to do. Sometimes Reed is like his body is not aligned to the basket like it should be. But they're going to be working on his shot. And whoever they have working with him, like in Houston, they have John Lucas and guys like that. And they're going to be working on his shot. You remember the young man plays for Boston, Kevin Pritchard.
Yeah.
His shot has gotten so much better because he got guys like Sam Cassell working with him. And these are guys that study film. They look at all the little stuff. Sometimes you have to look at film to actually see what guys are not doing correctly. And I'm a guy, I study this game. I look at all the little things. And Reed Shepherd has got some improvement to do on his shot selection, and he's got some improvement to do on his technique. Once he gets that down, then he'll be a knockdown shooter for the Houston Rockets or wherever he may end up being.
Yeah. In the meantime, that's who they took. But here in Detroit, we were upset when the Pistons had the best odds for a number 1 pick, but fell all the way to 5. But it seems like it really doesn't matter this year because they all kind of nobody really stood out in this draft.
Well, Ron Holland definitely.
But there are going to be some good players that come out of here, right?
Ricky, you know what? I'm going to say this. A lot of people always talk about the stars, right? The role players are just as important, if not more important than the stars. And the reason I say that is because the stars don't have to make adjustments. The role players do.
Right. And
people don't give them nearly the credit they deserve. Without your role players, you don't win. All you got to do is look at the Boston Celtics. Everyone was talking about Tatum, and they were talking about Jaylen Brown. But you see that they won because of guys like they had to put it all together. But you got guys like Drew Holiday, Derek White, Sam Hauser, Kevin Pritchard, even our Michigan State guy. I can't leave him out. Xavier Tillman.
Yeah.
All of those guys have to fit together like a puzzle. And when you do that, you got a winning team. That has nothing to do with stars. That has something to do with the other role players accepting their roles and doing their roles like they're supposed to. And when you do that, you got a winning team. Ask Phoenix Suns how important it is to just have 3 stars. That's not working today. You have to have the role players that can complement those stars. And when you do that, you're headed in the right direction.
And Shaq always calls them the others, which I'm not fond of hearing because I think that's disrespectful to the job these guys are doing. These guys are fulfilling an important role with that team.
They're very important. You can't win without them. You know, Shaq always talking about he has G14 classification and all that nonsense. But even Shaq and Kobe, they didn't win alone. It took the Derek Fishers, the Robert Ory's, and those guys, the Rick Foxes, and those guys for them to win. And that's how they end up winning their 3 championships back to back to back. Is because the role players also did what they were supposed to do, and they did. They got crucial defensive stops. They knocked down crucial shots, and that's how you win. They didn't just win with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, let's get to what's going on right now. Today was the opening of free agency, and the Chris Paul thing just didn't work out at Golden State this year. That team just has so many injuries. Never really could get everybody out on the floor and going at the same time. So the Warriors waived him, and doggone it if the San Antonio Spurs didn't pick him up, got a $30 million deal, and he's going to be down there with the big fella, Victor Wembanyama. And it kind of reminds me of when a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he may have still been Lou Alcindor at the time, got Oscar Robertson to come over to Milwaukee, and they promptly went to win an NBA title. What do you think Chris's impact will be playing with Wembanyama?
Well, it won't be to the level of Oscar Robertson because Chris has gotten up there in age for sure. And one difference is Oscar Robertson wasn't injury prone. I think it's a good move because, you know, I think Chris is the point guard. I talk very highly of him all the time. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. But this is something I think is just a temporary thing this year, Ricky, bringing him in. Because I honestly believe the reason they didn't bring in Trae Young or any of those guys, DeJounte Murray, not bringing him back, I think this is for next season. And I think next season they're going to go after De'Aaron Fox. And I told people on the air the other day that 2025, 2026, De'Aaron Fox will be a San Antonio Spur. So in the meantime, you had to get someone in there so that they can make Trey Jones a backup point guard. I like Trey Jones, but he's not a starting point guard in the NBA. And bringing Chris in at least gives he can tutor Victor Wembanyama, and he can do that on the floor and he can do that on the court when they're both, you know, when they're on the bench when they're both sitting there. And what better guy to learn from? Chris has not won any championships, but I can't blame him for that. Every team that he's played on, wherever he's went, the team has gotten better. And I think this is a
player for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And this is more of a mentor thing. You know, Chris is not going to be putting up 20 points and 10 assists like he used to. But he's still a valuable player. The key is how many minutes he's going to play a night. But when you have him side by side with Victor on the court and off the court, it teaches Victor even more so how to become a professional. The young man is very mature for his age, but when you have a Chris Paul, that even enhances things for you, and it speeds up your maturity level. It speeds up your IQ. It does all that a little quicker, and I think that's part of the reason why the Spurs brought him in.
Man, that's intriguing, though. De'Aaron Fox and Wembanyama. the way he can get downhill, that
Well,
that's something to
De'Aaron,
look forward to.
De'Aaron, Ricky, let me tell the listeners this. De'Aaron Fox married a woman from San Antonio.
Oh,
And last week, he brought in some young ladies, two from San Antonio and one from, I believe she's from the Dallas area. I'm trying to think of her name. But he brought in two young ladies from here. And one of the young ladies, her brother is rated in the top players in the country in high school down here at Brennan High School. And their last name is Fleming. So De'Aaron brought those two into his camp. And then he brought in the other young lady from Dallas area. And but he likes San Antonio. He's been here several times. His wife loves it here. The wife's dad has been down here as well. He used to be assistant coach at Texas Tech. And so Ray Caldwell also likes it in San Antonio. He's done a lot of things in San Antonio. And him and De'Aaron have a really good relationship. And I really believe next season, for me, I said the odds of him being here, I think is very, very, very high.
wow, that's going to be interesting, Derek. Hey, I tell you what else is interesting. The situation with Klay Thompson and Golden State and Paul George and the Clippers, they were talking. They couldn't work anything out. He may be on the move. But Klay Thompson, do you think he'll be back in Golden State? It looks like he's gone.
No, that's only for me. There's only two teams on the table for Klay, and at first it was clearly to me the Orlando Magic, but lately the L.A. Lakers have gotten in the mix. For sure, Klay is going to be gone. He's going to be moved. The question is, does he want? Because they're not going. First of all, Golden State's not going to offer him the money that he wants, and he's going to take that as a slap in the face. You know, Klay is a very sensitive guy. You've seen him during the game when he's missing shots. He could become his own worst enemy. Yeah. And the Lakers need a shooter. You know, they need more than one shooter. And what it's for him is just to move down the street. He's moving from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, the Lakers will be the team that Klay Thompson will be playing for in the 2024-25 season.
Really?
Wow. Yes, I really do. Yes.
Wow.
He wants to win, Ricky. He wants to win. Going to Orlando doesn't give him the chance to win right now. Those are still young guys. Banchero and Wagner, those guys are still a couple years away. Klay is not going to play much longer. So it's all about winning right now. Just like you look at some of the other guys, they want to win. Damian Lillard left because he has more behind him than he has in front of him as far as days left in the NBA. And Klay's in the same situation. So if you get a chance to go with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think that's a deal that he's going to have a hard time passing up.
But they got LeBron and Anthony Davis, but that West is so loaded, man.
Well, what have the Lakers missed the last 3, 4, 5 years? Shooting
for sure. Yeah.
And if people talk about Klay like he just fell off the cliff. Do you realize last year he averaged 18 points, and even on his worst shooting year, he still shot 38% from three? I think people didn't really pay attention to that. If I can get you to shoot on your worst year,
the Lakers.
he shoots 38% from three, and he wants to rebound from last year. He didn't have a great year. He wants to rebound, and he's a knockdown shooter. Over his career, he's been a 41% three-point shooter. And so the Lakers had to go out and try to get him. And I'm telling you, watch he's going to end up a Los Angeles Laker.
That's going to be interesting. Your thoughts on Paul George? The thing with that he and Kawhi, they could just never really stay healthy enough to see what they could do with that team.
I think it's more than that, though. Not even just the injuries. I just don't think him and Kawhi clicked like they should have. And the reason I say that is because how many people would turn down? Steve Ballmer doesn't mind spending money. But if you noticed, they didn't give Paul George the $48 million that he wanted. He wanted more than 48. He wanted to get a little more than Kawhi. Kawhi just got a new contract at about $53 million. Paul George wanted $54 million. And they didn't want to offer him that because you notice they just gave James Harden $35 million. So instead of betting on Paul George, they decided to bet on James Harden. So Paul's going to be moving aside, moving to, I'm telling you now where he's going. Philadelphia 76ers are ready to welcome Paul George to the city of brotherly love.
Well, if he goes to Philly, our guy has to be gone, man, right?
Tobias is gone. Tobias is gone either way. So I just don't see him returning. Tobias have teams like Utah and the Spurs and the Pistons. They're like 5 teams that are on his radar. And one of them is the San Antonio Spurs. And, I could see him ended up down here. He's familiar with the city. And, he's been to the George Gervin gym. We've even been on video with him shooting at the gym and working him out. And him and Andre Drummond used to come down here every summer. So I could see Tobias ending up in San Antonio or back where he was before, the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah. But he is a really good player, D. But it seems like something just always falls short with him.
It's hard, Ricky, when you're the third option and sometimes the fourth option. But you got to look at still he averages 16 or 17 points a game wherever he goes. But it's hard to get find your niche when you have the ball being dominated by Tyrese Maxey, who has become an all-star. And then you got Joel Embiid. So a lot of times there's not enough shots for a guy like Tobias Harris. But you notice he always gets picked up. He doesn't get cut. Certain guys move around a lot. Thaddeus Young moves around a lot. Another good player. But Tobias is a great guy to have in your locker room.
Yeah.
And he's going to give you that 17 points and occasional 25 points. And the one thing about him, he's high character. And the other thing about him, he's always going to play hard and give you his best.
Class act. Hey, I just saw this go down. KCP. Well, KCP has had him a nice little career, D. And now he just signed a 3-year, $66 million deal with the Orlando Magic. And another guy, we were talking about it earlier. These are the kind of guys that help you win championships. The role guys. That's what he is, right?
Yes, you saw him help Denver win the championship last year.
And the Lakers 3 or 4 years ago, he played.
That means Klay Thompson doesn't go to Orlando. Then, if they took KCP for 3 years, $66 million, that eliminates, in my mind, Klay Thompson for sure from the Orlando Magic. So once again, looks like LA Lakers is where he's going to be headed. And congratulations, KCP, to Tavius Caldwell-Pope. Plays hard on both ends and can knock down those timely shots when you need them. I'm so happy for that guy, man.
Make that money, young man. But D, I tell you, your man thinks like a general manager. Well, okay, he's going there, so he's not going there. I'm sure that's how GMs think. Automatically, okay, he's out, so we got to plug somebody else in.
Well, you're plugging in a younger guy and a guy that's still playing at a high level. He kind of had an off year somewhat last year, but I think that was more due to some of the things that were going on in Michael Porter Jr.'s life and them losing Jeff Green and Bruce Brown. And that goes back to what I say about fitting like a puzzle. If you really look at Denver this past year, they didn't fit like a puzzle like they have in the last couple of years. And so that can affect the guy.
Going into the start of the year, you did not like them.
I was a little nervous about them meeting a team like Minnesota because and then if you notice, they had brought in one guy. And I kind of, I talk about Russell Westbrook a lot, but there's another guy that I just don't feel confident in. And he just got moved. And his name is Reggie Jackson. And I just didn't think Reggie fit with the team. And when they brought him in, I was really skeptical about Denver winning it all. Man, it kind of broke my heart. Reggie's a very good NBA player, but he's not the kind of guy, honestly, that I want on my team if I'm trying to win big games, trying to win championships. And you see, it's no coincidence. I don't think that he just got moved.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I thought he just resigned with them.
No, he's going. So Reggie Jackson is moving somewhere else. I forgot the team, but yeah, he's not going to be in Denver.
Okay, now I will look that up while we talk about Jonas
Valanciunas for Pelicans.
signing with the Wizards. $30 million.
Oh, he did. So he left.
3-year, $30 million to the Washington Wizards.
You know who's gonna regret to let him get away? I pictured him going to the Miami Heat. I thought he fit really well with the Heat, because then you could move Bam Adebayo to his the power forward spot where he really should fit. But I'm gonna congratulate Valanciunas. I think he wanted to get out of New Orleans before things start falling apart, because we still have the issue with Zion. What are they gonna do with Zion? What are they going to do with Brandon Ingram? And we know that pairing between Brandon Ingram and Zion hasn't worked out. Now they have C.J. McCollum. And if you notice, they just drafted another guard. So I don't even know how the C.J. McCollum thing is going to work. So there were too many ifs. And maybe that's the reason Valanciunas decided to move on.
Hey, going back to Reggie Jackson, you're right. Denver traded Reggie Jackson to Charlotte.
Oh, I know.
For 3 second-round picks. I mean, they trade these draft picks like it's nothing nowadays. They
wanted to just get him off the books. That mean if they trade him just for 3 second-round picks, they wanted to get him off the books. And I could prove it, Ricky. The Knicks gave up 4 or 5 first-round picks to get Mikal Bridges.
Right.
And Denver just 3 second-round draft picks. That says that's a guy that they just wanted to get rid of.
Dude, you ain't got to go home.
You just got to get out of here.
Oh my goodness. Kevin Love is staying with the Heat 2 years. 2 year, $8 million a year. I mean, at this stage of his career, just a good guy to have. Break the glass in case of emergency. Give you 15 minutes a game, something like that, right?
Yeah, and he's a proven champion. So you keep guys like him around. Kevin Love can still spread the defense. He can knock down that three-pointer from the top of the key, which is the hardest shot in the NBA, that 23.9 feet. But he can knock down that shot, and he can rebound. So when he's in there for those 15 minutes, he's a guy that still does a lot of things. And the little time that he's on the floor, he's a really good utility man, I'll call him today. And he's a guy that's very valuable in the locker room as well. And I think the Heat made a good move, keeping him in there as insurance.
Yeah. What else we got here? Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond to Philly. It doesn't say what the money is.
Wow, Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond. So they did.
Andre posted, "I'm in the mood for a Philly cheesesteak." So,
way to go, Andre! I just talked about Tobias and Andre, so I'm happy for that move. This gives him a chance to contend. And Eric, you see, he didn't really like it in Phoenix. They're another team with too many ifs. And I honestly I think Eric Gordon is happy to get out of there as well. He'll get a chance to shine in Philly, another knockdown shooter, and Eric Gordon can also go off the dribble. So I think that makes them a better team. And Andre, if you give him the minutes, I mean, you see what's on my shirt, and you in the same place, the same area. If you give him enough minutes, one thing he's going to do is he's going to rebound that basketball.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's a good move for Philly. Congratulations, Andre.
And he's become a much better defender as he's gotten older for some reason.
He's a good rim protector. I mean, he's a very serviceable rim protector. He
Yeah.
plays hard. The only issue with him, sometimes he wants to be a point guard, but he'll accept his role in Philly. I don't know how happy Paul Reed is about that move, but maybe that'll move Paul Reed more to the power forward spot instead of having to back up Embiid at center. So it might even be a good move for Paul Reed.
Um, Gosh, I was going to say something, and it just lost my mind. The Clippers released a statement on Paul George, and we feel fortunate for 5 years we spent with him over that span. He went to 3 All-Star games, helped the team win to a place they'd never been before. We traded a lot to pair Paul and Kawhi. In exchange, we had 5 seasons of contention. Even though we fell short of our ultimate objective, we appreciate the chance we had with Paul. We'll miss Paul. At the same time, we're excited by the opportunities we've now been afforded under the CBA.
I don't even know why they write that stuff, Ricky. They should have a script for all 30 teams to just use that one thing. Every time a player leaves, they want to thank you. They want to wish the family well and all that stuff, man. If they wanted him, they would have gave him the contract that he was asking for. So all that other stuff, man, I mean, come on. They can save all that. Or as they say today, they can miss me with all that nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did tell you, we did talk about Harden signing for 2 years, 70
$35 million a year.
Yeah. So these teams are beginning to take shape. Hey, I definitely want to get your thoughts on the Lakers drafting Bronny James. Because a lot of people are saying, oh, he's taking somebody's job. But here's one thing I'll say about that. You get picked with the 55th pick, you ain't really taking nobody's job because everybody's a gamble in the second round.
Well, everybody's a gamble except for him. There's 2 guys that are not a gamble. It's LeBron Jr., I call him. And then there's Eric Filipowski from Duke, who fell down to the 32nd pick. But he'll be on somebody's roster for sure. And Bronny's not your average guy that goes in the 55th at the 55th pick. You already know he's going to be on that team. And I love what LeBron did as a father, but he is taking someone else's spot. And the only problem I have with it is the Lakers are saying they want to win, and they trying to contend and win championships. If you're trying to win championships, I don't know how that move really moves the needle. But they did get Dalton Connect at the 17th spot, so I guess all is not bad. I'm going to wish Bronny well because he is going to be on the roster, but we'll see how that pans out. And, I mean, I can't get mad at LeBron trying to get his son on the team because he's not the owner, so the Lakers didn't have to make that move if they didn't want to. So I'm going to commend LeBron and Rich Paul for making it happen. And good luck, Bronny.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you can't play, I mean, D, you played in that league. If you can't play, they will figure that out very quickly, right?
Well, you remember he went to the combine this year. Several weeks ago, he went to the combine up and down in Chicago, I believe it was. And if you remember, they were talking about the first day, how he was knocking down these threes and all of that. And he's going to sneak into the first round and all that. We see that didn't happen.
Right.
So it tells me that they're doing a favor for LeBron. And if LeBron didn't sign his contract, and he wasn't going to sign until he saw what was happening with his son. So he kind of held that leverage over the Lakers' heads. And you've seen him sitting with Jeannie Buss and all that. This move was something that was going to happen. LeBron wanted it to happen. And he made it happen. So I got to give him credit. And, once again, good luck to Bronny. I hope it works out. Ricky, can I say this quickly, though? The only negative part about that is if it doesn't work out, I want you to think about, and the listeners think about Austin Rivers. he caught a lot of heat because a lot of people, even though he was one of the best players to ever come out of Duke, Austin Rivers was an All-American, but he caught a lot of heat, a lot of flack because Doc Rivers was coaching. And if you remember, when he went to play for the Clippers, a lot of people said it was only because of his dad. And to this day, when they talk to Austin Rivers on ESPN, you can still tell he's a little bitter about how some people perceive him, how they talk about him when he goes out in the public. And that's the only thing I worry about with Bronny. If it doesn't work out, he's the one that's going to have to live with this over his head for the rest of his life. And you know how cruel people can be. And that's the negative side to me, but that's a big negative side.
And people are going to go at him. I remember when Lonzo Ball first came into the league, after his dad was talking all that stuff about how great guys, I think it was Pat Beverly, might have been his first game.
Yeah.
It was just all up in his grill every time, every way he went on the court.
They will talk good in the media on television or when they talk doing interviews, but when they actually play against him, guys they're not gonna let Bronny make a name against them. A lot of those guys don't think that he lived up to the hype, that he earned his spot. And if you look at it, he really didn't, because he played on a bad USC, University of Southern California team. He averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds. And I know he had the heart ailment, but we have to be honest about it. Even before the heart ailment, Bronny wasn't exactly tearing up NCAA basketball. So, they're giving him an opportunity because of who his dad is. A lot of people think LeBron is the GOAT, and this is one of the perks of LeBron being who he is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's you're right on about that, D. Hey, I forgot about this one, D. The Pelicans got DeJounte Murray. He's former Spur from Atlanta for Larry Knight, Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, and some draft picks. He's a good player. I mean, I don't know much about Dyson as a
Daniels.
player. Yeah, how do you grade that, D?
Well, it's kind of confusing again because I still don't think Brandon Ingram's going to be there at the beginning of the season. And you see Valanciunas just left. So you're talking about their starting center for the last several years. I grade it as a good move because of the type of player DeJounte is. He averaged a career high last season, 22 points a game. He's a guy that can play defense. He can play on both ends. But this is a move I'm not too sure about. Swin Cash must see something I don't know. As you know, Swin Cash is the president of basketball operations. And so maybe she sees something that we don't see.
Former Detroit Shot.
Yes, there you go. Exactly. Yes. So, but when you get a chance to pick up an all-star caliber player like DeJounte, that does move the needle a little bit. They have a pretty good backcourt now with him and CJ McCollum. And then you got the little sneaky guy. And then when you can bring the little sneaky guy off the bench, what's his name? Alvarado, who likes to hang around and then come and steal that ball. So they've got a pretty good backcourt. Now we got to see what they're going to do with the front court as far as Zion and Brandon Ingram. That's the major issue for me.
Who's the playmaking guard for them? Is it CJ?
No, DeJounte. CJ is going to be more of a shooter. They'll see when in there with Trae Young. That's what was confusing in Atlanta. Who's going to be the true point guard? And it ended up DeJounte trying to be a scorer and a point guard. You got Trae Young trying to be a scorer and a point guard. When DeJounte played here with Derrick White, he played his role to the max. He wasn't worried about scoring as much. He was worried about facilitating, getting guys in the spots that they belong in. And I think that's more of what he's going to have to do in New Orleans. I don't think they need him to score 20, 25 points a game. Certain nights that will happen, but I don't think that's what they really need from him. I think they need a lockdown defender. And, defense is still a premium on defense because we don't have a lot of defense going on. But if you need him to score, he can step up like a Drew Holiday or Derrick White. And I think that's mainly why they brought him in, because he can do multiple things.
Indeed, I watched and had a chance to cover Joe D and Isaiah, and the way they mesh together in the backcourt, and they could be interchangeable. I hadn't really seen anybody, and it was a different era too, but I hadn't seen anybody be able to do that, because I guess maybe Clay and Steph in their heyday. But
No,
Clay
because Steph
couldn't really
Clay.
go play the point the way Joe could.
No, Clay's not that good a ball handler, and neither is C.J. McCollum. CJ is more of a one-on-one player. That's why it didn't work with him and Dame. They wanted two guys that could be the point guard and could score, but CJ is more of a scorer. He was the same way in college. And so DeJounte, to me, you're handing the keys to DeJounte as your point guard, and you're going to use CJ once again as a scoring guard. If you remember, Ricky, CJ really struggled in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Teams weren't letting him get that shot off because he's not a great ball handler. So they ran him off the three-point line, and they made him put it on the floor. And that was Clay's weakness as well. When guys crowded him, he wasn't a very good ball handler, and he wasn't a very good distributor. But you mentioned Dumars and Isaiah. That's why I mentioned Drew Holiday and Derrick White. Both of those guys can handle the ball, really good ball handlers, and they could score the ball if need be. And I don't see that in CJ and DeJounte. I see it in DeJounte, but CJ is more of a scorer, more of an Eric Gordon type guy that can give you 20 to 30 points. And that's his role.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then Joe D and Isaiah were fun to watch, and then they bring Vinnie Johnson off the bench, man, and that little rotation was obviously very successful. I guess that's just very hard to find guys that can mesh like that and sustain it, no matter what era it may be.
CJ is New Orleans. They're hoping he could be their microwave, because he's going to have to score with him and Zion, because I still think they're going to move Brandon Ingram. But yeah, it's very rare that you get two guards like even if you look at the Knicks, Ricky, I go back just a little. Earl Monroe was not a point guard. He was a scoring guard. But they tried that at first to see if him and Walt Frazier can be those two guys like Isaiah and Dumars. And they're before Isaiah and Dumars. But Earl the Pearl was more of a highlight type guy. He wasn't the guy that was going to get players where they belong. That's why they had Dean Meminger to come off the bench. So instead of Vinnie Johnson, they had a true point guard, Dean Meminger.
Right. Absolutely. Fun time. Dean, we just got a couple of more minutes left. Any other thoughts? I'm just seeing here Edie's pulling out of the Olympics after being picked by the Grizzlies. Hey, were you surprised he went so high? Because they were you remember we talked about guys who may not get drafted at all.
They said he was going to be they had him at one time like the 44th pick.
Yeah.
I never believed that because first of all, you couldn't know. I never believed it because first of all, the guy's a two-time player of the year in college, back-to-back years. And you don't want to be the team that say, we messed up. We missed out on that one. Size is something you can't replace. And you don't have to be that fast today because all you got to do is look at Jokic and Embiid. They're not exactly running up and down the floor like Wilt Chamberlain in his prime and David Robinson. So he's a guy you can fit in there when you can't fast break. You get Edie in the half-court game, and he's going to be hard to deal with around that basket. And I think they made a great move. Now Jaren Jackson Jr. can move back to his original position, which is the power forward. And they filled that need that they lost when Steven Adams was basically moved and Brandon Clark got hurt. So it's a different team. I think it's a great move for the Grizzlies, I think Ja and all those guys will welcome him with open arms, the Desmond Baines, et cetera, the Marcus Smart. And I think it's a good move when you have veterans like that can help make the transition a lot easier for Zach Edey.
Man, it's going to be interesting. I hope John Morant comes back hungry and focused next year and show people what he can really do and leave all that nonsense behind me.
I say he matured. You haven't been hearing a lot, but he got something else that's fueling his fire now. Before he went out, and we won't even have to talk about the situation that got him in trouble in the first place. But before he went out, he was one of the premier guards, one of the premier players in the league. And believe me, sitting back watching Anthony Edwards get all this shine and Luka Doncic get all this shine, that right there is pure motivation. I know he's chomping at the bit. He can't wait to get in camp. And I think bringing Edey in is only going to make them a better team, and they're going to do better than people expect this year in the Western Conference. It's still the Western Conference.
I tell you, Derrick, that's a very good point, man, because I really forgot about him this year.
A lot of people did, and he knows that you forgot about him.
and you didn't even think about Memphis this year. They were just, they're like the Pistons. I mean, people thought about the Pistons more than Memphis because we lost 28 straight games.
Ricky, do you remember they were losing like the Pistons until Ja came back? Yeah. And as soon as he came back, they went on the winning streak. Yeah. Before he got hurt, they had started turning the corner immediately. The first game he was back, he won the game at the end for them. First game back. Yeah. And they were on a losing streak, a big losing streak. And then he came back and turned things around immediately. And then he got hurt, his shoulder or whatever it is, I believe. And so the team was never the same. They went right back down after that. But yeah, I think he's going to come back and have an all-star season. And yeah, he's going to use guys like Luka Doncic, Jaylen Brown, and those guys, Anthony Edwards, as motivation.
Yeah. Hey, D, we got to get out of here, man. But we should, with our next show, kind of focus in on the Olympics, and you can help us understand the FIBA style of basketball that you played for 18 years when you played overseas, and let's look at America's lineup and how you think this thing may go.
Ricky, they got a video on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it of me playing overseas in Turkey, and I had to kind of have my hand around the guy's neck.
Oh, I saw the picture, but it's the video that goes with it.
That's because it's a physical game.
Do you remember that play, Derrick? I did see that picture.
Yeah, well, guys over there have a tendency to challenge us because over there we're the foreigners, and it's usually only 2 or 3 on the team maximum. So that's a chance for them to get a little fame off of your name, and I wasn't gonna let anybody over there get a little more fame off my name. So sometimes things got a little heated, and I'm a guy that, hey, if you bring it, I'm gonna bring it back. You see what I have on my shirt, man? You know how we do it in the D.
You know what, Derrick? Hold on tight here. Let's see if I can find that picture. You know what? I will have it for the next show. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, D. I can't find it. We'll have it.
I got called Draymond by a couple of my friends, Ricky. I got somebody, one of my teammates in college said that looked a little bit like Ron Artest. But hey, you have to stand up for yourself, man. I didn't want to be one of those guys that's getting bullied. And if you don't want to get bullied, you got to, make a stand when necessary.
Absolutely, brother. Well, hey, man, we're going to get out of here. For Derrick Gervin, I'm Rick Hampton. I hope everybody has a great evening. We'll see you next time on As Good as It Gets.
I love you, Ricky. Talk to you soon. Have a good evening.
All right.